You are listening to Fox Radio 910 and 104.3. Welcome to Front Porch Tales, sponsored by Crowning Touch Senior Moving Services of Roanoke, Virginia. My name is Linda Balentine, the president of Crowning Touch and your host for this series. I travel into the mountains to interview the people of Appalachia and collect their share of memories. So now, we invite you to sit a spell with us and listen to stories, both historical and current, that emanate from the heart of Appalachia. Well, Toney Tree, here we go again. It's another little afternoon of Front Porch Tales, except it's a lot chillier out there now than the last time we spoke because there's snowflakes flowing around. But I'm sure that you're going to warm me up with some good old-fashioned tales from the mountains. And let's start because you're going to talk to me about Allegheny House, which was a very special place to all of us. Tell us about that place, Toney.
I will, Linda. First of all, thanks for having me on again. And I am so glad that the snow is going to start spitting here pretty soon because that's my time of year. I love it. I just love the winter and the snow and the cold.
I see that homemade cap on your head. You've got a nice aqua blue cap.
My daughter made me several years ago, and I don't let them go.
No, that's a really nice one. It's the perfect fit. You're set.
Yeah. I give a lot of things away, but I don't give her hats away.
No, that's good.
No, indeed.
All righty, but this, you remember how cold it was back? It was cold even in the daggone summertime. On a summer night, it could be cool down there.
Absolutely.
Well, tell me about
it. Well, since we're talking about Allegheny House today, and for those that have not heard any stories about Allegheny House. First of all, the house doesn't exist anymore. It was the subject of arson. Somebody came and playing around because the house is solitary, but it sits below an old Civil War cemetery. It's a historic place up on the old Stanton-Petersburg Turnpike along 250. Outside of Monterey, right across the West Virginia line.
Is the foundation still there? I mean,
yes, it is.
Okay.
The foundation's still there.
Yeah, that was
Alan Stewart never took it down. Alan Stewart was the owner. Remember him?
No, I don't happen to remember him, but it was such a gorgeous house, and it had one of those big, beautiful porches that were just the full extent of the house. And it was such a beautiful house, and it is heartbreaking. Some kids got in there, right?
Yes.
Oh, gosh.
I think somebody went in, to party and drink and just, break things.
Yeah. Oh, geez.
All the wood inside, the paneling and everything was wormy chestnut.
Oh, that's even worse.
Yes, it was built, I guess it was built when the blight came through this part of the mountains. A beautiful, grand old house.
Yep.
And that current owner, Alan Stewart and his wife, Lucille, they owned the land all around it. They ran sheep. So it was good for them to have somebody living in the house at all times. So there were a lot of people that moved through, and usually the most transient people were the hippies.
Right.
So you had different groups, different individuals of hippies constantly moving through the house.
And he let them live there without charging anybody anything? Is that how that worked, or what?
They never charged anybody anything.
Wow.
Because if somebody was there, the sheep would stay there. And nobody could come and rustle the sheep and do anything, because it's remote. Nobody lived up there.
Right.
Nobody lived on that mountain, so.
Where did Alan live? Where did he live?
He and Lucille lived down in, not Bartow, Durban.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, they lived down in Durban.
West Virginia.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, the house was in West Virginia.
Oh, all right.
To get to Allegheny House, you cross, when you enter the old Parkersburg Turnpike, it was probably a few hundred feet from 250, where you're into West Virginia.
On Allegheny Mountain?
On Allegheny Mountain.
Okay. That's why it got the number, the Allegheny House. It makes sense.
That's why it was called Allegheny House.
Makes sense.
Well, anyway, from the porch of Allegheny House, if you look across down the valley and into the distance, you're looking at Spruce Knob.
Wow.
In a straight line, maybe 30 miles away. But you could see the peak of Spruce Knob.
The highest point.
In
West Virginia.
Yes. And I went to Spruce Knob 2 weeks ago. to see if it was still there.
It's still there, right?
It's still there. And the trees are still growing toward the west. And it was beautiful. It was wonderful to see. But from up there, you can't see Allegheny House.
Right, I got you.
You'd have to have a really good telescope.
Well, and it's not there anymore, so that makes it very hard to see.
Yeah, I wouldn't know which holler and which trees to look at. But anyway, I got a couple of stories about Allegheny House to tell you. If you want
I'm sitting here ready. I am sitting here ready.
Okay, well, one day, I wanted to go to Allegheny House. I think that's when John and Suzanne were staying up there. And I don't know if Les and Judy were up there or where they were at the time.
I delivered a baby up there then in that house for Suzanne.
Yes.
That's right. Her little
Which one,
son.
Joshua?
Josh, I think. Yes.
Josh.
Erica was there and probably, I don't know, 3, 4.
Yeah.
I don't think she was even 5 years old, but it was Josh.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, I'm with you.
I did not know that Joshua was born at Allegheny House.
He was.
So he was born in New Hampton.
Yeah, isn't that? No, he wasn't born in New Hampton.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah.
That is so cool.
He was born in Allegheny House.
Yeah. Well, anyway, I was on my way up there, and I decided instead of taking the dirt road that goes past Fitz's, up the mountain into West Virginia, down to Bartow, and then you walk back up the Allegheny the dirt road up Allegheny Mountain. And we're talking about maybe 15, 17-mile walk. I thought, well, instead of going that way, I'll just leave Fitz's house, head up the hollow right there where we used to go horseback, where you brought the horse that time.
Right.
Then climb up, make a shortcut up to Sapling Ridge to the top.
Wow.
Okay. Cross over Sapling Ridge, go down to Laurel Fork, cross the old railroad tracks that are still there. I think they're still there from when they
logging, when they were logging.
And then cross Laurel Fork and then just head up the mountain to the left. And that would take me out to 250.
Okay.
And once I'm on 250, I know where the Parkersburg Road is and everything's okay.
Right.
And I'd be at Allegheny House by mid-afternoon.
That was your plan?
That was my plan.
What time of year was this?
It was winter.
Oh, gosh, you crazy person.
November, December,
crazy
January.
Person. Oh, gosh.
But it's what makes it fun. But I started out, everything was okay. I was dressed for the weather.
Right.
I was okay. Left the house, went up Allegheny, up Sapling Ridge, got to the top of Sapling. Easily could have stayed there. But no, Allegheny was the target. So I go down to Laurel Fork, get to Laurel Fork, and there was such a fog that set in that I did not know which way was north, south, east, or west, except I could tell by the direction of the water in Laurel Fork. I knew basically if I followed it downstream where I would go, and if I followed it upstream where I could go. But the stream was full. It was swollen.
Right.
So I couldn't be walking in the stream. I had to cross the stream. I didn't realize that either. So I knew I had to cross Laurel Fork. So what I would do, take all my clothes off. And that's about 20 degrees.
You crazy person.
Take all my clothes off, especially my boots and my pants, because you got to keep that dry.
Right.
Make a bundle out of the whole thing, put it on my shoulders, and I cross Laurel Fork, and I get to the other side. So I start walking, and then Laurel Fork makes a twist on Goodall's property that I wasn't sure, should I go up this way or should I, if I go the other way, I have to cross the fork again. So I crossed the fork again. After I dried off, put my clothes on, I took them back off, made another package again. But those are the things that you do when you have to do them.
That's right. But were you in the laurel thicket and the rhododendron?
Oh, yes.
I mean, it was there were tunnels through that rhododendron because the rhododendron was twice the height of a man, some of it.
That's what made it difficult with the fog.
Oh,
there was no way. I simply picked the wrong day. But I was willing to stay on Laurel Fork. I figured if I have to stay here, I'll sleep the night.
Okay, so
I can bundle stuff up and, and at least make it through the night. That's okay. So I wasn't afraid.
Right.
I wasn't lost. I was misplaced.
Right, I got you.
I was just who I didn't know for sure.
Given enough time, you had no problem at all. You would get where you needed to get.
Exactly. So But I was a little worried because night was coming. I knew by now it was getting towards mid-afternoon. I should have been at Allegheny House already.
Right.
And I was still down in the water.
Oh, brother.
So push up to shove, I got across. I didn't recognize the hill, but I knew that it was big enough that if I got to the top, that knoll should take me out to 250.
Okay.
And I sort of knew that. So I got dried off, got dressed again, went up the knoll, and sure enough, I could see above the fog that I was on the right track.
Wow.
I made it to Allegheny House. It was well after dark. Oh, it was well after dark.
Now, did you have any kind of flashlight? Was there a full moon? How did you navigate? Because it's really black out there. It's blacker than black.
It's blacker than black. But one thing I learned, especially if you're walking on a road, a dirt road, or wide trails, if you have a stick, all you have to do is keep the stick.
Like a blind man.
As long as you can feel the weeds
off to the side.
You know that they're on the side. Don't walk into the weeds. Stay where it's hard and crunchy.
That way you won't fall off the mountain.
And you don't fall off the mountain. And you're good. And it works.
Yeah, I got you.
It really works.
I'll remember that next time I find myself.
Next time you're up on a trail. And, it's
wandering
dark.
around at night on a dirt road, I will remember the stick trick. Okay, I'm good.
Anyway, I made it to Allegheny House and everything was fine. It was always warm. Allegheny
who was there?
Always warm. Whoever was there. I don't remember if it was John and Suzanne.
Oh, okay.
I don't remember, or if it was Les and Judy.
And you don't remember if there was any good cider down in the root cellar?
No, that was at Fitz's house.
Oh, well, there was some on
The
Allegheny
cider.
House because we had a Thanksgiving there, and I personally went down and helped suck.
That was
some
the
of
Thanksgiving.
That's
that
right.
We
That
had
was
raccoon.
a Thanksgiving. Uh-huh.
We had raccoon for Thanksgiving.
Oh, gosh.
Among other things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't remember much because I spent a lot of time sucking on the on the cider hoses and getting really stoned, just drawing the cider out. You know.
That was really. Les was a big fan
Yes.
of drawing the cider.
That's right.
Because you really got a buzz.
You
from
did,
the,
and I've never had that happen before. You know, I was just thinking I was going to try and wait for the liquid stuff, but I didn't even have to wait. It's pretty good.
It was all good. But when Les and Judy did live up at Allegheny House, he had his dog with him. He had a black dog
Was
named
it a lab?
Rajo. It was a lab.
I remember that dog.
Rajo, R-A-J-O. Rajo went to New York City with us one time when my brother got married. Les and Judy and I, we drove up. Judy had a car.
Right.
We drove up to New York City. We went to the wedding. And my father on 161st Street and Broadway, he took care of Rajo because Rajo couldn't go to the wedding.
Oh gosh, that's
But he was happy to take care of the dog. He said, sure, no problem. But anyway, Rajo was a really cool dog because he grew up in the mountains and he knew that if Les or I would go outside the house with a stick, not the walking stick, but with a stick,
right,
that we were going groundhog hunting.
Really?
And this dog would get so excited. And what Rajo would do is that he would find the groundhog, okay? You have to walk a little.
Yeah.
And he would try to attack it so that the groundhog would freeze and just face the dog and do their teeth like they do.
Chatter,
If you've never heard a groundhog chattering, it's quite a sound.
It is.
But anyway, Rajo would hold him so that I or Les could go around the groundhog and smack it and kill it.
Smack it in the head? Is that what you did? What the heck? Wherever?
Wherever, because it was food.
I know. It was a mighty smack then.
It was.
Because they had some fat on them. I mean, they had a hide on them. Anyway, if you got them around the head, you got them, I guess.
You got them. Well,
you know, this
maybe
is
you
going
have
to
to hit
sound
'em
so
twice.
primitive to people listening. They're going to go, what? You did what? You took a
Well, it's how
stick
you-
and killed a groundhog. But, you know, if you're out there hunting for survival, this is how people
living.
did it. That's
Yes.
correct.
You're living.
That is correct.
And Rajo would always get some groundhog meat.
Yeah,
Well,
I
he
guess.
made sure of that.
Isn't that something?
And Rajo was always excited whenever we wanted groundhog. Just get the stick Go outside. Come on, Roger. He would be so happy.
And there was a plethora of groundhogs. The place was rich in groundhogs.
Yes, probably still is.
Yes, I'm sure it is.
We need to get back up there. Give me a good dog. I'll go.
Just don't make me eat any groundhog, Tony. That's all I ask.
Well, if you eat commercial food, you're probably eating groundhog and whatever else.
In that last hot dog, there might have been. You never know what's in there anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. So Roger would do that, but on the same farm, and I know Les and Judy were there then because I was staying with them for a spell.
Right.
I went out. I didn't have Roger with me. I don't know why, but it was cold. It was snowy. I know it was January or February, and I was past where the cemetery is along the road that goes down to Bartow eventually. So I'm walking along the road, and I see a very young deer. It wasn't a fawn, but it was a very young deer just run across the road, come up on one side, because the road stays to the peak of the hills.
Ridge, yeah.
Here comes a deer running across the road and running down the other side into the woods, not too far from our house.
Right. As if something was chasing it or not, or just out frolicking.
Oh, yes, something was chasing it, a bobcat.
No joke.
So here goes a deer running into the woods. Here goes a bobcat running after the deer. And here goes Toney Tree chasing after the bobcat because I knew there was going to be some food.
Come on.
Okay. So chase them into the woods. I can see where they were going.
I can't believe they didn't outdistance you and leave you in the dust.
Well, the deer finally succumbed.
No, wow.
And when I got them, the bobcat was already eating one of the hams, chewing on it. The deer was still alive.
Oh, gosh.
So when I came on the scene, the bobcat ran off. And I had to hit the deer on the head to kill it because it wasn't going to live.
Right.
And I was very thankful because then we had fresh deer meat, some of the freshest and tenderest deer meat.
So you dragged it home? Is that what you did?
Yeah.
Did you tie it up or did you just grab its legs and drag it home?
Linda, I don't remember because it didn't have antlers.
Because it can be heavy.
I was just so happy that we had deer meat. I'm sorry, but I ate a little piece of it while I was there. Because when I was a kid in New York City, you go to any butcher store. They didn't have supermarkets. It was a butcher store. And anytime the butcher was preparing meats, he'd always let us, especially me, because I would be dumb enough to do it, he'd always give me a hunk of hamburger meat. He had a salt shaker on the counter in the wooden chopping block. Put some salt on it. Say, here, Tony.
People pay a lot of money for steak tartare.
Yes.
Which is simply raw.
And I fell in love with raw hamburger.
Yeah.
I would eat it today, except I don't trust any meat that comes in a store today.
No, I understand. I gotcha.
Give me a good deer.
Yes.
And I'll grind it up and I'll eat some.
Well, it's that time of year. Of course, it's now the rutting season out there for deer. And so you have to get a doe because the male meat tends to be really strong flavored if it's an older buck.
Well, don't tell my son that I'm telling this over the radio, but my son tried this morning and he missed. He usually
What was he shooting?
Miss.
What was he shooting?
A deer, a doe.
Was he? And he missed. Well, we won't hold it against him. He'll have another chance. He can prove himself tomorrow or the next day.
And if he finds out that I exposed him, he would be very upset. He said, Dad, why did you have to tell that story for?
Just tell him that it's a misinformation.
Because he's a good shot. Isaac's a good shot.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a good kid. But anyway, got that deer home, got it cut up. I'm sure that Les remembers that time because we had fresh deer meat in the middle of winter.
Wow. And
we didn't have to kill it. Well, we had to finish it off.
But you
didn't have to chase it, didn't have to wait.
You shared the guilt with the bobcat. So
Well, I apologize to the bobcat.
Yeah, I bet he did.
I said, sorry, buddy, but this is mine now. Survival.
I'm the bigger predator. Yeah, I gotcha. It's a hierarchy.
Yes. Yes, it is.
That's a good story. Gee whiz.
That was a good story. It was good meat, too. But Allegheny House was a very special place because of all the stuff that went on there.
It was a landing. It was a landing spot.
It was a landing spot.
For a whole bunch of people. Now, Lester and I were talking about flue fires this morning. Tell me about the flue fire at Allegheny, because he didn't mention that.
what happens is that, periodically you have to clean your flues.
Right.
Now, in these old buildings, I don't know how people clean the flues, but in the old wooden structures, the chimneys were made out of brick.
Right.
All right. There was no flue per se
Right.
inside the chimney. All you had was blocks going all the way up to the outside. So the tar would get into the cracks,
the creosote.
the brow. Yeah, the creosote.
Right.
It would get in there. You couldn't control that.
Right.
Somebody told me one time that if you burn your fire and put a bunch of salt, that the salt would corrode the creosote. I don't know if that's true or not.
I don't know either. It would take a bunch of salt.
Yeah, but anyway, one night everybody had gone to bed. There were guests from Connecticut, Will Burney, and his wife, a woman, and a whole bunch of other people were in the house. In the middle of the night, Will Burney, his dad was somebody big in Reader's Digest back in the day.
Yeah, right. Gotcha.
And if you look at you can see his name in a lot of the documents. But anyway, he's there. In the middle of the night, I hear Will yelling out, "Fire!
Oh, my
Fire!"
gosh.
I went, oh, no, somebody's down in the kitchen smoking pot again. And they just threw the ashes somewhere where they were supposed to. Was that acceptable?
Sure, of course.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, we're going to talk about. There were some marijuana episodes that we do have to talk about because it was definitely a part of the life, but that'll be a different session.
Well, this wasn't a marijuana episode.
I know.
In my mind, I thought,
you thought it was an episode.
So I jumped up. Is that you? You went to put it on hold?
Mm-hmm. Can't. So just go on.
Oh, okay. You want to go on?
Yeah.
Are you on? Am I on?
Yes.
Okay. So I get up and I'm looking for the fire because there's smoke in the house. The smoke is coming from the flue, from the cinder block up in the attic.
Right.
And it was a slow fire going on. And the smoke was coming out of the cracks of the cinder block. So there was a flue fire, but all we did that night, because we couldn't climb out onto the roof, because the roof was outside and there were no ladders to do that, we just let the thing burn itself out. And we waited with water just in case anything caught on fire, and we waited. Eventually, the flue fire burned itself out, and we all breathed a sigh of relief.
Boy, that was lucky, wasn't it?
And we went back to bed.
Wow.
So everything worked out okay for that flue fire.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I was telling, Lester and I were talking, there was also a trick where you took the zinc lids. Remember the old mason ball jars before the mason made the little, two-piece caps? There was one with, it's a little ceramic insert. They used to take those and throw them into the fire. And the zinc caused the creosote to release. So burning the zinc was an old-timey way of loosening the creosote in your fireplace.
That is really cool.
Yeah.
I hadn't heard that.
Yeah, so we used to do that, and it worked. I would toss in a few during a season and take care of it.
Yeah.
What other tales you got, Tony?
Well, one thing that I noticed on my drive a couple of weeks ago is I drove past Fitz's. I got out, walked around the house. A lot of the big old sugar maple trees are gone.
Oh.
There are new apple trees that are, at this point, old.
Right.
Because that was some time ago that all this went on.
Yeah.
But driving up the mountain, I was passed by several cars. Some of the people waved. But up on Middle Mountain, I've noticed there are so many new people that have built homes up there.
Oh, wow. So
it's not like
it's a second home situation for for the city dwellers.
Yes, indeed. And I thought to myself two things. Wow, this is getting crowded.
Yes.
In a 12-mile space, you had two houses. That's crowded. It's getting, But the other thing was that this would be a good place now to get lost because you have neighbors close by. If you yell loud enough, somebody is going to hear you.
Oh, gosh.
They are going to hear you. But that was a blessing.
Yeah.
Driving through there and seeing all the old places, seeing like how it was.
Yes, I got you.
drove up to Locust Springs, where the old I guess it's still there, the campground, and then on to Spruce Knob. It's a long drive all the way around, but if anybody in Radioland wants to take a really good trip, they can go up to Monterey and go across the mountain, take 9228 up, or they can go up to Bluegrass and then take State Road 642 all across the mountain to Bartow, and then take 28 all the way up to Spruce Knob. What a drive that is.
And it's about at least probably 15 degrees colder up there, at least. But it is also next week, Thanksgiving week, is supposed to be beautiful. I don't know. Somebody's talking about some wild snowstorm that, we may get. I have no idea whether to believe any of that stuff. But if the temperature is nice out there in Roanoke, then that's a good day to shoot out to Spruce Knob.
If it's nice in Roanoke, it's extremely cold up in Spruce Knob.
Yes, it is. But bundle up
Yeah.
and go enjoy yourself, because now you can really see that the atmosphere is more crystalline now than in the summertime, when you have that humidity in the dense sort of cloudy, milky sky sometimes that is not as nice as it is the rest of the time.
I have do we have time?
You have a short story. We got a couple. We have a couple minutes.
Okay. I'll make a short story shorter. One, it was in the winter, because that's when I did all the fun stuff.
Yeah.
In the summertime,
sounds like you were bored knocking around.
Right. No gardens to do.
That's right.
So you get out and do something. I decided to go up and visit Rowan Selman.
Uh-huh.
And to get to Rowan's, you walk up the holler. I never took the road.
Oh, you never took the road?
Walk up the holler. Okay.
Wow.
Cut across like you're going up to Sapling Ridge, then cut down, go to get on the road way on the other side of Sapling Ridge, and walk up to his place.
Right, okay.
It was always fun. Well, we had a snow that night, and it was the end of deer season. I remember it was the last day of deer season, whatever year that was. We had a pretty heavy snow, and I thought, well, if I get going now, I'll get up there and it'll be, it'll be daylight, everything will be okay. Well, the snow kept on heavy. Every step I walked, I kept thinking, this may have been a mistake for me, because the snow is not stopping. By the time I got to where there was an old house built up the holler, and a lot of people didn't even know that was there, because it was just abandoned, and all it was falling down walls. I had to stop there, remove all my clothes. Again, you'd think I'm a nudist or something.
No, I know, but
okay?
it's so funny. But you were there all by yourself, Tony, so you can do what you want.
And I lit a fire with all the scrap wood, got a good fire going, hung my clothes, because I was soaking wet from snow and sweat. I had all my clothes hung around the fire. It was dark when my clothes were dry enough, and I still got out, walked up the road to go to Rowan's. He said, why didn't you come earlier? I said, that's a long story.
Well, you just made a short story shorter, so that was good.
Yeah.
That's a funny tale. We'll get back with you, see what other episodes you had to have that made you have to take all your clothes off, for God's sakes. But we'll catch you next week. Thank you, Tony.
Thank you, Linda.
Bye-bye. You've been listening to Front Porch Tales, courtesy of Crowning Touch Senior Moving Services of Roanoke, Virginia, the only moving company with a consignment shop, auction house, and real estate division. We are a one-stop shop for any senior making a move. Check out our website at crowningtouchusa.com. Or if you are planning a move, call Anna at 540-982-5800 to arrange a free estimate. Our consignment shop is open Tuesday through Saturday, and we accept items on appointment and offer pickup and delivery. And don't forget to check out our monthly browse and bid auctions at 6712 Williamson Road, Roanoke, where you can bid online on over 1,700 items each month. Meanwhile, let's get back together next Friday at noon for more Appalachian Tales from the Front Porch on Fox 910 and 104.3.